Welcome, everyone. If we could get everybody's attention, we'd like to get the evening started. Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is Gary Koch. I'm with NBC Sports, and it is a pleasure to welcome you all here to the Ambassador of Golf event presented by First Energy Foundation. It's great to be back here at Firestone, truly one of the historic venues in the game of golf. The Ambassador of Golf Award is presented here annually to a person who has fostered the ideals of the game and whose concern for others extends to a national level. It's an honor to be on the stage this evening to celebrate Secretary Condoleezza Rice as the 2022 recipient. At this time, it's my pleasure to welcome the chairman of the Bridgestone Senior Players Championship Executive Committee, President, CEO, and board chair of Westfield, Ed Largent, to say a few words.
Thanks, Gary, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 2022 Ambassador of Golf event presented by First Energy Foundation and honoring Secretary Condoleezza Rice. We're really happy to have Gary with us this year. Gary, long time no see. We were just out at the Westfield Legends Pro-Am earlier today. Gary is a six-time PGA Tour winner and a very familiar voice to so many of us who watch golf on TV. He's been doing that for over 30 years now. So Gary, thanks for being here tonight. Thank you. Last year, local organizations received $840,000 from the Bridgestone Senior Players Championship and this event, the Ambassador of Golf event, here at Firestone Country Club. So many people over the years, and honestly, a lot of people here in this room tonight, work to make that charitable giving possible. On behalf of the Executive Committee, I'd like to thank the tournament sponsor, Bridgestone. They've been fantastic. Founding partners, Westfield and First Energy, and the First Energy Foundation, the presenting sponsor of this event. We'd also like to thank the Northern Ohio Golf Charities. The volunteer efforts that they put together are just phenomenal and have been for decades and decades. Firestone Country Club, an amazing venue out there. I think it was a great day. And lastly, the PGA Tour champions for their fantastic partnership. I'd like to also thank all of you, all of the sponsors in this room. Your involvement makes a real difference in our communities. And we just can't thank you enough for what you do. That difference is through dozens and dozens of nonprofit organizations, so thank you so much. Now, I'd like to introduce the Ambassador of Golf honoree video. Let's watch.
Secretary Rice, taught the game by Eric Eshelman, head pro at Country Club of Birmingham. Oh. And he taught her that stroke right there. The job well done.
Can she make another putt? Good putt. Ooh, fist pump there.
It's the moment when you hit a great shot and you've worked really hard to get that shot and it comes through. There's really nothing like it. I've been an athlete all my life, but nothing's as thrilling as a great shot in golf.
If you had one wish for the sport, what would it be?
The wish for the sport would be that more young people would play it. I didn't start this game until I was Secretary of State, and I was 50 years old when I started this game. And I think if younger people started it, they would find it engaging and interesting.
There you go. Made some putts today.
Liz is such an accomplished young woman in the classroom and on the golf course, and that's what I really admire. My wish is that we'll get more young people into the game. That's why I'm very involved with drive, chip, and putt. I think it's great to get some younger golfers going.
We know former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice loves this game. Stanford Cardinal red, 15 handicap.
I'm enjoying the scenery because I'm not enjoying my golf today, so the scenery is great.
Dr. Rice. Coming down the right side, yeah. Just what the doctor ordered.
That's a nice tee shot. This is the hardest hole in the golf course.
Yeah, well, at least it's airborne and it's not in the bunker. Those are the two good things. Being out here with these wonderful people, and I've got a great pro and great foursome, so we're having fun.
Condoleezza Rice can make that. That's a pretty good up and down right there.
Kidding.
I think I'm getting to the place that I can actually many times hit the shot that I'm trying to hit, which is an improvement. Because it used to be just get the ball in the air.
Let's try it. Keep tracking. Tell you, she got the speed of these greens down very nicely today.
It's challenging and it's fun, and you meet some of the nicest people in golf. That's the best part of it.
And you were on the committee this
The football
year.
committee,
That's
it's
right.
been a great experience. I think we got the right 4 teams, and congratulations to the Ohio State Buckeyes.
A very welcome guest to the tournament, Condoleezza Rice, chipping very nicely from the left of the 14th green. Well played.
She's just such a trendsetter.
Dr. Condoleezza Rice, former Secretary of State. She is a good player.
Hit a few shots that are good and a few shots that are not, but it's really great. And the pros are wonderful. To be out here with the amateurs for 3 days, 4 days, it's really great. I tell people who want to start it, it's never too late.
That was great. Great video. Now, before we introduce our illustrious guest, we also have a special message from last year's honoree, President George W. Bush.
Greetings to those honoring my friend, Condoleezza Rice, with the 2022 Ambassador of Golf Award. Condi has all the diplomatic skills an ambassador needs, and her swing is pretty darn good. Some of the qualities that made her a fantastic Secretary of State have also helped her become a great golfer: integrity, discipline, and patience. Unlike last year, you could not have selected a finer individual to represent the sport. I'm thrilled to join you all in congratulating my dear friend on this special honor.
Ed, thank you very much for all that you do here at Firestone and for the tournament and for the Ambassador of Golf. Well, it's my honor to introduce Secretary Condoleezza Rice this evening. Please bear with me, it's going to take a while because she has accomplished a tremendous amount. Condoleezza Rice is the Tad and Diane Taub Director of the Hoover Institution and the Thomas and Barbara Stevenson Senior Fellow on Public Policy. From January of 2005 to January of 2009, she served as the 66th Secretary of State of the United States, the second woman and the first black woman to hold that post. She also served as President George W. Bush's assistant to the President on National Security Affairs, National Security Advisor, from January of 2001 to January of 2005, the first woman to hold that position. Secretary Rice served as the Stanford University Provost from 1993 to 1999, during which time she was the institution's chief budget and academic affairs advisor. From February of 1989 through March of 1991, she served on President George H.W. Bush's National Security Council staff. She served as director, then senior director of Soviet and Eastern European Affairs, as well as special assistant to the President for National Security Affairs. As a professor of political science, she has been on the Stanford faculty since 1981. She has won 2 of the university's highest teaching honors. In 1984, the Walter J. Gores Award for Excellence in Teaching, and the 1993 School of Humanities and Sciences Dean's Award for Distinctive and Distinguished Teaching. In 1991, she co-founded the Center for a New Generation, CNG, an innovative after-school academic enrichment program for students in East Palo Alto and East Menlo Park, California. Since 2009, she has served as a founding partner at Rice, Hadley & Gates, LLC, an international strategic consulting firm based in Silicon Valley and Washington, D.C. The firm works with the senior executives of major companies to implement strategic plans and expand in emerging markets. She currently serves on the boards of C3 AI, an AI software company, and McKenna Capital Management, a private endowment firm. In addition, she is the vice chair of the Board of Governors of the Boys and Girls Clubs of America and a trustee of the Aspen Institute. In 2013, Secretary Rice was appointed to the College Football Playoff Selection Committee, formerly the Bowl Championship Series. She served on that committee until 2017. Born in Birmingham, Alabama, she earned her bachelor's degree in political science, cum laude, and Phi Beta Kappa from the University of Denver, her master's in the same subject from the University of Notre Dame, and her PhD, likewise in political science, from the Graduate School of International Studies at the University of Denver. Secretary Rice is a fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences and has been awarded 15 honorary doctorates. I'd like to ask our honoree to stand and be recognized. Please join me in a round of applause for the 2022 Ambassador of Golf, Secretary Condoleezza Rice. Secretary Rice, as is tradition, we'd like to present you with the Ambassador of Golf portrait, which illustrates and honors your involvement with the game of golf. If you'd like to come up and please help me do the honors. All right. I'll get on this side.
All right.
You get on that side. Yeah, I think so. Ready?
Ready? 1, 2,
3. Up we go. If you'd like to have a seat, I'll sit over there,
All right, we'll change places.
and we will continue on with the question and answer portion of this. Well, you say that until you hear the questions.
Now, I always say, you know, I teach 19-year-olds, there's nothing I haven't been asked, so don't worry.
You should have a mic there. Hopefully it's on. Yeah, okay, great.
Got it.
All right, Secretary Rice, you were born in Birmingham, Alabama, to loving parents who included a father who was a Presbyterian minister, and he was also a high school football coach. Your mother was a teacher and a church organist. How did your parents help mold you into the person that you are today?
Well, first of all, let me thank you, all of you, each and every one of you, for this tremendous honor. I was saying earlier that I didn't actually think my golf game was ever going to get me honored for anything, so I'm especially grateful to all of you. I also just want to say what a tremendous honor it is to be a part of what I consider to be one of America's great strengths, which is its civic culture. When people come together from the corporate world, from our civil society institutions, as the great French thinker Alexander de Tocqueville said, Americans bring themselves together in these voluntary associations just to do good. And so thank you very much for letting me be a part of this here in Northern Ohio, in a place that I feel I have some roots. I'm sure we'll get to the Cleveland Browns later on.
Don't worry, we will.
So you had to know John and Angelina Rice to know me, and I wrote a book about them called Extraordinary Ordinary People, because in many ways they were ordinary people. My mom was a teacher, musician. My dad had all kinds of jobs: high school guidance counselor, minister, football coach. But despite our rather difficult circumstances growing up in segregated Birmingham, Alabama, they had me believing that I might not be able to have a hamburger at Woolworth's lunch counter, but I could be president of the United States if I wanted to be. And that was just the way that we grew up. We grew up with a belief in our little community that you could do anything. They always told us, you have to be twice as good. Now, they didn't say, it's really sad that you have to be twice as good. They just said, you have to be twice as good. So we went around working twice as hard, therefore being twice as confident. And I now tell all of my students, I don't care what color they are, what gender they are, I say, you know, work to be twice as good and it'll work out pretty well. They also said there are no victims. The minute you start to think of yourself as a victim, you've given control of your life to someone else. You may not be able to control your circumstances, but you can control your response to your circumstances. And my parents lived that, and they instilled that in me. And so I owe absolutely everything to John and Angelina Rice.
You mentioned growing up in the racially segregated South. What were some of the challenges that you faced, and how did you overcome those adversities?
I think because of the way that our little community operated, you weren't allowed to feel the challenges as barriers or obstacles, but rather as something that was there, but you could always overcome it. My little community was, I think everybody taught school. I think there was one lawyer, one doctor, everybody else taught school. And so it was faith, family, and education. And those were the verities of that community. Now, from time to time, you would clearly encounter Birmingham's segregation. So to give you just a couple of examples, when I moved to California, I realized I didn't know how to swim. I was 25 years old before I learned how to swim. Why is that? Because when I was 5 years old, Bull Connor, Eugene Bull Connor, the police commissioner in Birmingham, closed the pools rather than integrate them. And so there's a whole generation, probably little black and white kids in Birmingham who didn't learn to swim, because by the time I could have been going swimming, we moved to Denver and so forth and so on. So segregation would impede sometimes. I remember one of the first times I realized there was something called black and white people was we went to see Santa Claus. You know that you go, you stand in line, little girl, what would you like? And this Santa Claus, I was 5, and this Santa Claus was apparently taking little black kids and holding them out here and taking little white kids and sitting them on his knee. And my father, who was 6'3", football player, said to my mother, Angelina, if he does that to Condoleezza, I'm going to rip all that stuff off of him and show who he is. Now, you're 5, right? Daddy, Santa Claus, Daddy, Santa Claus. Fortunately, I think Santa Claus read my father's body language, and when I got there, it was, little girl, come sit here, what would you like? But there were times, and I'll tell one final story because it also says something about how even my parents' generation just reacted to that. So we went into a store to buy an Easter dress. And the woman said, well, she'll have to try it on in there, which was the storeroom. And my mother said, let's get this straight. Either she tries this on in the fitting room or you don't make this sale. And so the lady sort of stood outside the fitting room, probably worried that she was going to lose her job, but I tried it on in that room. And I learned those lessons early on, that you don't let anybody take your dignity, you have agency, and even in the segregated South, my parents, my grandparents, and the people that I was around always gave us a sense that we could do something about our circumstances.
So, wonderful. As a youth, you were a concert pianist and a figure skater.
Yeah.
What appealed to you about each of those pursuits?
Well, music was natural. My mom, grandmother, and great-grandmother were all musicians. And I stayed at my grandmother's house while my mother and father taught school. And at about 3, I would go to the piano and bang on it when my grandmother's students left. And she finally said to my mother, let me teach her to play. So I could read music before I could read. And I'm very grateful that when I was 10 and announced to my mother that I was quitting because I was tired of the piano, she said, you're not old enough or good enough to make that decision. And so I kept playing. And as a result, you know, later on, I got to play with Yo-Yo Ma and all. So I was grateful for that parental intervention. And the figure skating, in the summers, my parents would go to the University of Denver to go to graduate school. You couldn't go to the University of Alabama, it was segregated. So we would load up the family car, drive to Denver, My dad would go to school, my mom would go to school, they were getting graduate degrees. Now, what to do with me? So we started with day camp, but that involved horses, and that didn't work out so well. And one day I was walking along and I saw the figure skaters coming out of the ice rink. I said, I want to be a figure skater. And so it was simply high-priced childcare. You drop the kid at the rink in the morning and you go all day. And I became a skater. We would go back to Alabama. We finally moved to Denver when I was about to be 12, and I started skating seriously and year-round and competing.
Did you ever have dreams of being in the Olympics or anything like that?
Oh,
Did you?
every little girl who figure skates and gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to skate, which I did, has dreams. But one of the great things about my life is that I've always been pretty confronted with how good I am at something or not. And I skated for the Denver Figure Skating Club. That was a place in Colorado that people like Peggy Fleming and Dorothy Hamill skated. And it was pretty clear to me that this wasn't going to work out as an Olympic sport. And so at about 18, I suddenly thought, you know, this is not an adult sport. You can't call somebody up and say, let's go figure skating. And so my dad had been a football in college, letterman in football, basketball, and tennis. And I took up tennis at that point, not yet knowing the joys of golf.
We'd like to know, how were you introduced to the political scene that led to your journey to be the Secretary of State?
When I talk to my students about mentorship, I always say to them, we have this conceit. I want to do it on my own. Nobody does it on their own. You need people who are going to advocate for you, and that's my story of getting connected to politics. It was a man named, I was a young professor at Stanford. I'd been there 2-3 years. I was getting known as one of the best young Soviet specialists in the country, but this man named Brent Scowcroft, who would later on be the National Security Advisor to President George H.W. Bush, came to give a talk at Stanford. And I was young, and I wanted to get noticed, so I asked some slightly rude question of him. And he came up to me afterwards, and he said, you know, I know your work, and I'd like to get to know you, and I want you to start really going to, he would take me to these conferences and the like, and he advocated for me. And when he was made National Security Advisor to George H.W. Bush, I'll never forget the conversation. He called me up and he said, you know, this fellow Gorbachev is doing some interesting things, and President Bush is going to need somebody to help him sort it out. Do you want to come be the White House Soviet specialist? And that's how I first went to Washington. And I got to be the White House Soviet specialist from 1989 to 1991, so the end of the Cold War, the liberation of Eastern Europe, the unification of Germany, but all because really of Brent Scowcroft. And then one final part of this is that on my last day, I had to go back to Stanford after 2 years, and on my last day, I got a call that Mrs. Barbara Bush would like to have me for tea. And I thought, okay. So I went and I had tea with Mrs. Barbara, and she said, you've been a great help at this really important time. And she said, now remember, once you're a member of the Bush clan, you can never leave. And that's how I met George H.W. Bush, was through President Bush.
Can you share with us what it's like to be the Secretary of State of the United States?
Being the Secretary of State of the United States is truly, I think, the highest honor of a non-elected official. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One is that it was the first position created by the Founding Fathers. And so there are all of these things that you are asked to do. I kept signing all these commissions. You know, when somebody was commissioned as Secretary of Agriculture, the president would sign it and I would sign it. Finally, I said, why am I signing all these? They said, well, you are the keeper of the Great Seal of the United States of America. And I said, how long have I been the keeper of the Great Seal? They said Thomas Jefferson was the keeper of the Great Seal. So the Secretary of State, it turns out, is the notary of the country. And so you affix the Great Seal and you sign. If you look at the Louisiana Purchase, you will notice that it is also signed by Monroe. If you look at the resignation letter from Richard Nixon, you will find that it is also signed by Henry Kissinger, because the secretary is to fix the Great Seal. So there are a lot of amazing kind of ceremonial things that go with it because it was the first created. But the greatest honor is, of course, you get to represent this extraordinary country. And you go around the world, and it always came to me mostly through kids. I remember going to Chengdu after the earthquake there in China, and this little boy, maybe 12, walked up to me and he said, "You're that lady from the United States, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." And you know, the little girl who I met, I was in Iraq talking to this very conservative Shia cleric. He couldn't touch me because I was a woman outside of his family. And at the end of our really difficult conversation, he says through the translator, "Would you do me a favor?" Sure. He said, "My granddaughter loves you. She watches you on TV. She's 13. She's coming to the United States with her mother. Would you meet with her?" I said, "Sure." So comes the day, and in walks this little girl wearing a pink T-shirt that says Princess. And she comes up to me and she says, "I want to be foreign minister too." And I thought, you know, to get a chance to represent the United States and women in that way was extraordinary. And then the final thing is there are those moments when you realize that the United States leads not just from power but from principle. The United States leads from compassion. And, you know, we had our struggles after 9/11 and the wars and the like, but people also forget that George W. Bush, that man right there on that video, created the most important global health program of all times, the President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief. The entire continent of Africa was being ravaged by AIDS, and because the President took the opportunity to put the United States at the head of that, we saved millions and millions of lives. And so as the representative of the United States, you get to recognize what the United States can mean to the world. And oh, by the way, there is nothing like the first time that you step off the plane that says the United States of America behind you.
Is there one single accomplishment that you're most proud of during your time as the secretary?
I really do think, you know, the AIDS relief program is right up there, but I would say that for me, it's not a single accomplishment, but a single theme that we pressed. And that was that no man, woman, or child should be condemned to live in tyranny. The belief that the United States has to stand for the belief that our values, our liberties are universal, and that we have to continually advocate for them for people who don't have them. So whether it was people in Afghanistan, who sadly now that has reverted, but people in Iraq or people in the Middle East or people in Latin America, to say that everybody deserves those liberties to say what you think, to worship as you please, to be to be safe from the knock of the secret police at night, and most importantly, to be able to choose those who are going to govern you. That there's nothing American about those values; those are universal. And nothing used to make me angrier than to hear somebody in Europe or someplace say, "Well, they're not ready for democracy," or "They don't really care about democracy." This is usually said, by the way, by somebody who's lucky enough to live in a democracy. And then I would say to them, you know, democracy's a long haul. And if anybody should be patient, it should be the United States of America. Our founding documents are incredible in terms of what they say about liberty. And yet we had this birth defect of slavery, and it took us more than 100 years to overcome that, and then another 100+ years till Jim Crow was legally ended, and we're still struggling. And yet, when I think of one moment that said to me that human progress is not just possible, it's almost inevitable. It was the day that I was sworn in by President Bush, and you're sworn in the Franklin room of the State Department, and there's a huge portrait of Benjamin Franklin. And there I am being sworn in to take the oath to a constitution that once counted my ancestors as 3/5 of a man. And I'm being sworn in by a Jewish woman, Supreme Court Justice named Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who was my neighbor at the Watergate. And I'm standing there thinking, what would old Ben have thought of this, right? Well, clearly he would never have dreamed of it. He's my favorite founding father, so I would like to think he would have loved it. But what does that say about progress? It says that it comes at a price. It comes not all in one fell swoop. Sometimes it's back and forward. But I think representing that the United States continues to be the voice for the voiceless was perhaps the thing that I'm most proud of.
So after you become Secretary of State, you became a golfer.
I did.
Yes. Who introduced you to the game, and what do you like most about it?
Well, I never wanted to play golf. I was the provost of Stanford. The provost is the chief operating officer. The golf course reported to me. The only time I was on it to go look at a bridge that had to be fixed in the 6 years that I was provost. Thought that the game was slow and quote unquote for older people. And so here I am I'm on vacation with my cousin at the Greenbrier in West Virginia. And my cousin's husband gave her golf lessons because he was a good golfer. He wanted her to learn. He gave me buddy lessons so she would go. And 3-day camp at the Greenbrier. The first day we're hitting 7-iron, 7-iron, 7-iron. I'm thinking this is every bit as boring as I thought it was. The second day we're hitting 7-iron, 7-iron, 7-iron. The third day they handed me a driver and it went, and I thought, I have found my sport. And I went out to, I got back to Washington, went to Andrews Air Force Base, and I said to the pro there, I don't have time to go to a driving range. You're gonna have to teach me this on the course. Now there's an advantage. When you're Secretary of State at Andrews Air Force Base, they close down the back holes, the 6 holes behind you and the 6 holes in front of you. And so you can just go out there. I was outside for the first time. I didn't have to be in a car with secret, and it's an Air Force base, so my details really relax. So I wander off to find my ball in the woods. Nobody follows me because, my ball's always in the woods because I'm a beginner. And I just learned to love it. And what I loved most about it was being outdoors. I love the challenge. I still to this day love that incredible feeling of the great shot that makes you think, Lorena Ochoa would be proud to hit that. And then the next shot that you think, when did Bozo the Clown show up? All right, so there's something about it that never quite lets you off the hook. And I love that and the wonderful people that you meet playing it.
It is interesting. When you do it properly, it seems so easy.
Yeah, but doing it, that's right. Doing it properly.
So you think you should be able to do it more often.
You think you should be able to, and it's just sitting there. It's just sitting there,
Not moving at all?
Not moving at all.
Obviously, last year, President Bush was our honoree here. What's it like to play golf with him?
It's really fast is what it is. The first time I played golf with him when we got out of office, because he did not play golf during the latter part of his term because of the war. He felt it was not appropriate. But we're out there, and I don't know, we're playing in Texas, and I hit the first putt, and it goes like 8 feet by, and he says, that's good. I said, no, it's not. Would you mind if I just putt this? He plays really fast. He can play a complete round in 2.5 hours. Speed golf, and his father was faster.
That's what I understand. Do you have a favorite story involving President Bush?
Oh yes, he's actually a very good golfer. He's very, very good, and we're playing with Lee Trevino, and I'm starstruck because I just loved Lee Trevino as a kid. I watched him on TV all the time, and I don't know if any of you've ever played with him, but he talks in his backswing, he talks in your backswing. He just, he's constantly talking.
Yeah, you do a lot of listening
Yes,
when you play
right,
with
a
Lee.
lot of listening. And so President Bush steps up to this putt and he leaves it 3 feet short or something. And Lee Trevino comes over and he says, Mr. President, never in the history of golf has the hole come back to the ball. And I tried to remember that from then on. So.
Oh, mate, I can imagine. You're one of the first female members at Augusta National Golf Club. What are your thoughts about the Augusta National Women's Amateur and the drive, chip, and putt competition that has been spearheaded by Augusta National?
I'm so proud of what Augusta National is doing, and it's it started with the expansion, working with others to do the Latin American Amateur, and then to do the Asian Amateur, both of which have produced wonderful, in one case, a Masters champion in Matsuyama. And then the drive, chip, and putt was actually my first year, and it's just remarkable watching these kids. They're so good and they're so confident, and they're making that putt on 18. I would be terrified. But I think when you are there, you see that these are kids, many of whom are not kids of privilege. They come from the public courses, and they make it to the drive, chip, and putt, and so that's a way to grow the game. And then, of course, the highlight for me has been the women's amateur. You watch these young women, and of course I'm a huge fan of intercollegiate sports, and I'm the faculty fellow for the national champion Stanford women's golf team. But it's so great to see them with the opportunity to play there, and I think it'll have the effect of making for the women the opportunity to be really great amateurs. I think something that will be more and more attractive, and it just grows in importance. It's a really interesting story. This year, for the women's amateur, all we'd had was really the one before, and then you had COVID, and they didn't actually know how big the crowds were going to be. And the crowds were huge for the women's amateur. And so that was really, really great. And the number of little girls out there with their dads. And I'm not kidding. I went to my club the next weekend, and there were bunches of little girls out there just kind of hitting the ball around. And you know what happened? Daddy, I want to play that. So I think it will have a really salutary effect on women's golf.
Do you have a favorite shot that you've hit when you've been playing there at Augusta National?
At Augusta National, oh yeah, I've got several that I've hit.
Tell us.
So on number 12, in our member, I hit it to went over the bunker, which is what you're supposed to do. And I couldn't believe it. I have to go in with a pretty, like a hybrid, because it's a long shot. And it stopped. And I made the putt for birdie net 1. Whoa. So that's probably my favorite shot of all time at Augusta. Yeah.
So you had a chance to play in the Pro-Am here yesterday.
Yes.
And,
there's my partner down there, Dave.
Yeah?
I'm really sorry. Yeah, no. We had a great time.
You got to play with Jay Haas.
I did.
How was that?
What a wonderful human being. Wonderful gentleman. Great golfing family, of course. Beautiful game. And boy, does he hit it long.
And he's 68 years
I
old.
know. And I was thinking, I wonder if I'm never going to be longer than I am now, but it's hopeful to think that I might not be shorter than I am now. And he's just wonderful. And he did, one of my really good friends came out to play the Pro-Am also. Mary Meeker's over there. And Mary and I play a lot of our golf together. And Jay actually gave us some tips on our own swings, which was extremely helpful. Good. Yes. Good. Yeah. But he's a great man.
Yeah,
beautiful player.
He's a wonderful representative of the game. There's
absolutely.
no doubt. What were your impressions of Firestone South?
I loved Firestone South. I'm not usually very good on kind of parkland courses, more narrow courses, because I'm quite long off the tee, but I'm also not all that accurate off the tee. I tell people I'm really long, but 30 of it might be sideways. So, but I thought it was beautiful. I had a pretty good day. I played pretty well. It's stunning, and television doesn't do it justice. I've watched the Firestone, the Firestone golf tournaments at Firestone since I always watched golf, even though I didn't play it. And you know, Tiger's 8 wins here and everything. I saw every one of them, and it just doesn't do the course justice. A little bit like Augusta. I was a little surprised at some of the undulation. Certainly surprised that some of the approaches are pretty tough, and you'd better have the right shot shape off the tee. So but it's great. And I played the North Course this morning, by the way.
Oh.
And
how'd that go?
I loved it. A little more forgiving, yeah.
Yes.
A little more forgiving. Laura says a little more forgiving, yeah. Right.
Most golfers have a favorite round. Do you have a favorite round that you played that you could share with us?
Yeah, my favorite round is the first time that I broke 80. I must have shot 80 15 times. And you know, you're just thinking, just one more stroke, just one more. And I, at the Madison Club in Southern California in the desert, and I just, everything was clicking. I had 3 birdies in a row on that, which I've never done since. But I think it was just memorable. And also the first time I broke 90 was memorable. And that one was particularly memorable because I was playing at my home course at Stanford. And I actually didn't know. You know, I have to admit I'm a score watcher, so I'm constantly watching my score. But this particular time I got to the 18th green, and I had a 2-putt. And one of my good friends, John Cogan, said to me, "Do you know what you just shot?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Go at it up." And sure enough. So I think those are the really memorable rounds.
Probably a good lesson learned. Maybe you shouldn't pay too much
Maybe
attention
shouldn't
to the
pay too
score
much
until
attention
you're
to the
done.
score. That's right. Don't
Yeah.
pay too much attention.
That's the way the pros try to do it
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a course that you've not played yet that you would like to?
There are several that I would love to play. I want to play, though I've heard that I probably shouldn't want to play it. I'd love to play Pine Valley. Wouldn't everybody like to play Pine Valley? I'd like to play Pinehurst. So I have a good friend who's from that area. And then I've played a couple times in Scotland, and I've played a couple of times in Ireland, but I've always played in the north of Ireland, and I would like to play in the south of Ireland because there are a lot of courses there that I think should be really fun.
Yeah, they certainly are. Yeah. If you had one more round of golf to be able to play, where would you play it?
Ooh, okay, this is a loaded question.
Sorry.
I would play the back 9 of Cyprus and the back 9 of Augusta. Yeah.
Very good. Why?
Really?
That's great. Okay, we're going to change sports now. In 2014, you were on the inaugural selection committee
Yes,
of the
I
first
was.
ever college football playoff. You made a lot of Buckeye fans happy.
Oh, yeah.
When Ohio State was chosen to be one of the 4
you
teams.
better believe it.
Yeah, and they went on to win the national championship. What are your thoughts on college football today?
Yeah, look, I love it. I love college football, but I'm worried. I think we're in danger of losing one of the great traditions and one of the great opportunities for young people to get a chance at that valued thing called a college degree. No, I really hate the conversation that's going on, you know, that somehow it's exploitation or they're being wronged, when really the value proposition is supposed to be you get to play your sport and then you get a college degree at the end of it. And when it's done well, that's what happens. I chaired a basketball commission for the NCAA, and we did some numbers, and this is about basketball, not football, but 59% of D1 players think they're going to the NBA. 59%. The number is 1.5%. So you need a plan B. And we learned that if you stay in college for 1 year, you almost never go back. If you stay for 2 years, some 50% will go back. If you stay for 3 years, 70% will go back. So the idea that if you stay in college, you get that degree, it's worth $1 million in earnings over your lifetime. And you think about the kid down the hall from the intercollegiate athlete who's taking down loans and working 20 hours a week to get that same college degree. And I think, where's the exploitation here? I don't understand the argument. Now, I will say this. I was a proponent for name, image, and likeness. I thought that if a young person, his jersey was being sold or whatever, why not? Or if you wanted to have a contract with, with a golf company or whatever, why not? But the NCAA did not get on top of it in time. And so now it's the Wild West. And it's not being used for a student to make a golfer to make a contract to use Callaway clubs for a modest amount of money. That's not what's happening. It's become a come here and we'll pay you X thousands of dollars. Now, this is bad for 3 reasons. First of all, it's going to be bad for women's sports because the football player or the male basketball player is always going to be more market valuable than the first of the women. So it's bad for Title IX, bad for women's sports. Secondly, really bad for team sports. So I'm just waiting when one of those $1 million quarterbacks who apparently are being recruited into certain schools, suddenly when the offensive linemen come in and say, well, where's my money? And oh, by the way, if I don't have it, have you ever heard of what football players call a lookout block?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Olé.
How many lookout blocks are going to be there by it? So for team sports, it's really bad. And then finally, it's really bad for the proposition that these are students. Again, I don't mind if you get money for something that's, you truly being represented and you get money for a commercial or for using a product. It makes perfectly good sense that if a Stanford student who makes a very popular music video and isn't an athlete could get money for that a Stanford athlete ought to be able to do it. But don't do it to say, come to this university, not that university, and we'll find a way to pay you. That's just pay for play. Sooner or later, I think we're going to face actual pay for play cases. And frankly, at that point, I hope Stanford will be out. I just hope we won't do it.
It seems as though it's going to create a bigger gap between the haves and the have-nots.
Huge gap between the haves and have-nots. Or the have-nots are going to go to such great lengths to try to play in that league that we're going to start to have, I think, all kinds of scandals around it. So I think we've got a serious problem in intercollegiate athletics. Yeah. I hope they'll get one. The comment was we need a good commissioner, a good for the NCAA. I said I hope they get one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Like many people here tonight, you've been a lifelong Cleveland Browns fan.
I have.
Dee Haslam is a friend of yours.
Yes.
Tell us how you became a Browns fan.
When you are growing up in Birmingham, Alabama, there are no teams. And my dad was a Cleveland Browns fan because of Otto Graham and Lou the Toe Groza and Jim Brown and Paul Brown. And so my first memories are watching the Cleveland Browns and being a fan of the Cleveland Browns like my father. I was particularly, by the way, a fan of Paul Brown. And I don't know why, but somehow as a kid, maybe it was the little, fedora and tie and the whole thing, but I just loved Paul Brown. So when Art Modell fired Paul Brown, I went and I ripped all the Browns posters off the wall in my room. And I have to admit, for a little while, I was a Cincinnati Bengals fan. Okay, just for a little, very little while. And then when the Browns came back, I went all in again. But that's how we became, and my dad, as you said, was a minister. So let's just put it this way. When there was going to be an important NFL game on, his sermons were a little shorter.
Perfect. Is there a favorite Browns victory that you can reflect on?
Let's see, I really have to work at that one,
Yeah,
don't
probably.
I know? In all seriousness, the one against Pittsburgh in the playoff had to be my absolute favorite. And I said to someone, the problem is when you're a Browns fan and you go up by 28 points, you start to worry, right? And I remember a friend of mine was going to come over and watch the game, and we were already up 21-0 when she showed up. And I said, let me be very clear. If something goes wrong, you go home right now. Right? Fortunately, we scored again, and but that was so, it was just so unexpected in some ways and so wonderful. The other one, and this is really kind of sad, but if you remember, we actually went 1-15 before we went 0-16. And I don't remember who the team was, but they missed a field goal so that we won that last game and did not go 0-16. And I cheered like we won the Super Bowl. so I'm looking forward to some better memories.
Better memories,
Yeah,
yes. All right, we've mentioned that you've been on the Stanford faculty for a number of years. You mentioned that the Stanford women's golf team won the NCAA championship. What life lessons can you share with us from your time at Stanford?
Stanford's a very unusual place because it is, it's a great research university, kind of in the same breadth as most of the great Ivy League institutions and so forth, but Stanford is young. Stanford's only about 120 years old, and as a result, there's certain things that are different about Stanford. One is that Stanford has always had a very close connection to the economy and to innovation. You know that Stanford sits in the middle of the Silicon Valley. It is, in fact, the incubator for the Silicon Valley. And the way that I always tell that story is that in 1934, it shows how far back it's in the DNA. In 1934, two graduate students asked the Dean of Engineering for $500 to commercialize their product. That would have been Bill Hewlett and David Packard. And in 2000, two Stanford graduate students got an equity investment from the university. That would be Larry Page and Sergey Brin. That would be Google. And so Stanford has this long history of really appreciating the applied and wanting to be a part of the world and not feeling like it's an ivory tower. And that's one of the things I love about it. It also has this great heritage of intercollegiate athletics, but intercollegiate athletics in which women's sports is sometimes really king at Stanford. So Tara Vanderveer and her great women's basketball teams, of course our great now women's golf teams, but we've always had a very strong program of women's sports and of so-called Olympic sports, so that football is great and basketball is great, but you would not believe the variety of sports played at Stanford. And so I love that about it. And the final thing that I love about Stanford is that the students are very competitive and they want to be excellent, but it is not a cutthroat place. And I've really, in some ways, learned by being at Stanford what it can mean to be competitive and want to be excellent, but want to bring others along with you rather than just kind of slamming the door. And so I think you can tell I just love it. I went there on a one-year fellowship and never left. In fact, it's a little bit of a funny story, and I'll have to do it because I just have to take out a little bit of a dig at Harvard on this. I was awarded a national fellowship by the Ford Foundation. They were taking young Soviet specialists and teaching them the business of international security. You could take it at one of 5 places where the Ford Foundation had these centers of excellence. You could take it at MIT, at Harvard, at Columbia, at UCLA Rand, or at Stanford. I'd been in Southern California, don't love Southern California, didn't want to go there. My best friend who got the same fellowship was dating an MIT professor. We thought she should go there, but we shouldn't go together. My father said Columbia's in New York. That's dangerous. You're not going there. And it came down to Harvard and Stanford. And Harvard didn't answer my letter. And they swear they did now, but they really they didn't trust me.
That's great. You mentioned your students there. Is there any specific advice that you give them to try to prepare them for life after Stanford?
Yes. I'm giving different advice now than I might have given a number of years ago. This is the most public-minded generation I've taught. They want to do something bigger than themselves. They care so much about the world. They want to make change. But boy, are they in a hurry. And I say to them, you know, slow down. Take the time to actually know something and to know something in depth. I was saying to some folks earlier, they have two lines that just drive me crazy. One is, I want to be a leader. They say, you know, it's not a destination and it's not a job description, all right? So first learn something and then maybe somebody will let you lead. My other favorite is, I want my first job to be meaningful. Sorry, your first job's not gonna be meaningful. Your first job is your first job. What's meaningful is somebody pays you to do it for the first time. And so they just, you know, they're always kind of pushing the envelope. And I think, you know, I'm not somebody who constantly blames social media, but they operate under so much pressure that none of us had with the way that social media just characterizes everything. And my minister gave a sermon once called The 10 Commandments of the Digital Age. And his first commandment was, don't compare your real life to somebody else's virtual life. And they do that all the time. And so, you know, even on NIL, I say to them, you know, this is name, image, and likeness for a lifetime. So don't put something on social media that when you're up for the big job, somebody finds it from 20 years ago. So they're just under different pressures. And the final thing that I'll say about them is it's hard to get them to want to do things in depth. So when we were, and most of us were in college or graduate school, and we had to write a paper, you went to the Dewey Decimal card catalog and you found the subject matter, and then maybe you went to the library stacks and you wandered around, and these kids have never seen a library stack. And so they think when they've Googled it, they've researched it. And so my job is to slow them down and to get them to go in depth on things. And I do it by, I'm not teaching right now because of the Hoover job, but I was teaching a seminar for 25 undergraduates. They wrote a 5-page paper every week because that way they did the reading. They actually had to engage the reading. And then I did one other thing, and this is the final point about them. I made them argue from a point of view with which they did not agree. Because our world is one in which everybody goes into their little corner. You only listen to people who think like you. Now when you hear somebody who doesn't think like you, you think they're either venal or stupid. And we don't easily engage each other in our discourse in ways that recognize that I'm not your enemy because you disagree, we just happen to disagree. I say to them, if you find yourself constantly in the company of people who say amen to everything you say, find other company. Because you're never gonna learn to defend your arguments. You're just gonna think that just because you think it, you're right. And I'll say one final thing. I tell them, you know, you actually don't have a constitutional right not to be offended. So if somebody offends you, before you organize the university on White Plaza, which is our main quad, because you were offended, why don't you turn to the person next to you and say, you know, that was offensive, and let's talk about why it was offensive. So they're under different pressures than we were, but there's still no greater joy than teaching.
Wonderful. You have been a big supporter of the Boys and Girls Clubs throughout the country. This golf tournament is proud to support local boys and girls clubs. Why do you think the Boys and Girls Club is so important?
I started with the Boys and Girls Club movement at the local level. It was, you mentioned that I started a program with some friends called Center for New Generation. It's now a program of the Boys and Girls Clubs. We have them in Dallas and Birmingham and Atlanta, and 7 of them in Northern California. And I say that because even though there's a National Boys and Girls Club of America on whose board I sit, the Boys and Girls Clubs are local institutions. That's their DNA. That's where they live. It brings together people in the community who understand the concerns and the challenges of that particular community. And so I love the fact that it has this homegrown flavor to it. And that if you look at the boards, it brings together people from the corporate sector and from civil society and from the educational sector and so forth. And so the structure is wonderful. And then what Boys and Girls Clubs do. There are so many kids for whom life is so much more difficult than any of us could ever imagine. And I think to myself, how do they ever even emerge from this? And so often the story is a staff member at a Boys and Girls Club when a parent or both parents are absent, or when the parent might be caring but has to work long hours and the Boys and Girls Club is a place of refuge. One of the things we've been doing lately is encouraging the clubs to become not just places where kids go, but places where kids go to learn. We have in the United States the shortest learning day and the shortest learning year of any developed country in the world. And we're not going to make the day longer in the schools for a whole variety of reasons. But the Boys and Girls Clubs and places like them can be the extended learning day that if you are a parent of means, you will make sure that that time after school is productive for your child. But if you're a parent who maybe doesn't speak the language, or even if you do, you're working long hours in a tough job and a tough environment, somebody has to be looking out for that kid during that period of time. And I think the Boys and Girls Clubs do all of that.
Couldn't agree more. Great organization. All right, in closing, one final question. What do you like most about our country and being an American?
I've been all over the world, and with few exceptions, I think I've seen almost every country in the world. And the United States is different. It's special. And it's special because it's an idea. We are not, as Americans, unified by ethnicity or nationality, blood or religion. Our ancestors came from every corner of the earth. Our people are Muslim and Catholic and Protestant and Jewish, and some are nothing at all, and they're just as American. And so I often say, what would you tell the proverbial man from Mars if he came down and said, what is it that then unites these Americans if it's none of those things? And you would have to say, well, you see, they have a belief. They have a creed. It is that it doesn't matter where you came from, it matters where you're going. You can come from humble circumstances and you can do great things. And that's actually attracted people to this place, this idea. Whether they came from across the oceans to lead the knowledge-based revolution, like Sergey Brin's parents who bring him here from Russia when he's 7, he never found Google in Russia. Or, frankly, if they came here to make $5, not 50 cents from the poorest countries in the world, they are still the most risk-taking, the most persevering, the most insistent people on the face of the earth. And we have, year after year, quarter century after quarter century, been able to regenerate that spirit. Now, there's another piece of it that I think is at risk. And that is that it's not just that you should be able to come here to be a part of the doesn't matter where you came from, it matters where you're going. But you should also not be prisoner of your circumstances of birth. And so the fact that you could start in a public housing project and become the CEO of Goldman, which was Lloyd Blankfein's story, that's also a part of it doesn't matter where you came from, it matters where you're going. And that makes us different, and it makes us young, and it makes us new. But it also brings a special responsibility to find a way to keep that fabric together. And when I say I worry that because our educational system is failing the poorest of our kids, that for so many kids, it just isn't true that it doesn't matter where you came from, it matters where you're going. You know, education is an article of faith in my family. And we all have an ancestor somewhere along the road that decided to make you American. Now, what do I mean by that? Maybe they decided to leave the old country and come here. Maybe they decided they were going to immigrate no matter what. Maybe they decided they were going to break out of the bonds of the Jim Crow era and make it. Well, one of mine, my grandfather, John Wesley Rice Sr., my father's father. Now, John Wesley Rice Sr. was a sharecropper's son in Utah. That would be E-U-T-A-W. I'm not kidding, Alabama. And when he was a young man, he decided he was going to get book learning in a college. And his mother was a freed slave who was a daughter of the slave owner and had taught him to read. So he was really bookish. He read all the time. So he asked people coming through, so how's a colored man go to college? They said, well, you could go to Little Stillman College. It's a little Presbyterian school down the road. And so he saved up his cotton. He went to Stillman College, and he finished his first year. They said, so how are you going to pay for his second year? He said, well, I'm sorry, I'm out of money. They said, well, you're out of luck. And he said, but how are those boys going to college? They said, well, you see, they have what's called a scholarship. And if you wanted to be a Presbyterian minister, you could have a scholarship too. And my granddaddy Rice said, that's exactly what I had in mind. And my family has been college educated and Presbyterian ever since. Now, he made us American, right? And he gave to us that gift of education, and it changed the possibilities for generations of Rices after that, so that my father would be college educated, advanced degreed, and end up as a university administrator. And his sister, my Aunt Teresa, she would go to the University of Wisconsin in 1952, get her PhD in Victorian literature, and write books on Dickens. Now, you think what I do is weird for a black person? She wrote a book on Dickens. And she was an example of what John Wesley Rice Sr. foresaw. And so America really is this incredible place with this creed, but it also is a place that depends on its citizens, not just its government, its citizens, to make that true. And every single one of us has that responsibility. My great friend George Schultz, who died a little more than a year ago at the age of 100, used to wear a tie that said, democracy is not a spectator sport. And in America, more than any place in the world, we can't allow democracy to be a spectator sport. But it is what makes America what it is. It's what I love about it. It's what I love representing in it. And it's why I have great faith in its future. Despite its challenges, despite its hardships, it's just an idea that is too powerful to die.
Very well said. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for being here with us this evening. Please, let's stand. Let's honor our 2020 Ambassador of Golf honoree, Secretary Condoleezza Rice. Thank you. It was so much fun. Very enjoyable. Thank you. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to turn the stage over to Brian Moore, Northern Ohio Golf Charities Foundation President, who will touch on some of the charitable organizations being supported this evening. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Whoa, very loud. Well, that was a particularly difficult presentation to follow, but that was terrific. I wanted to take a moment to talk about our foundation and one of the other reasons you're here tonight. So we at Northern Ohio Golf Charities Foundation are sincerely grateful for your support in the past and the support you'll provide tonight. Last year, the Bridgestone Senior Players Championship and this Ambassador of Golf event raised $840,000 to distribute to charitable organizations throughout Northeast Ohio. Yes, that's $840,000. Just a few of the grassroots programs funded from proceeds last year included the purchase of mattresses for young adults coming out of the foster care system, a new van for a veterans home to help transport residents and collect supplies, a child care room for a workforce development program in the Middlebury neighborhood of Akron, tires, frames, and hand rims for sports wheelchairs, and a dump truck for an unemployment skills training program in the Cleveland area. Northern Ohio Golf Charities Foundation supports a wide variety of needs in our community, and your support tonight will help us to continue our legacy of providing impactful support to organizations throughout Northeast Ohio. Please turn your attention to the monitors for a brief video highlighting a few of these organizations. And again, thank you all for making this possible.
A few years ago, we had close to maybe 50, 60 members. Now we're closing in on 200 members. And that's because our members really focus a great deal on a lot of things other than just golf. Our charity work means a lot to us. We have associate members and full-time members. We have youth members. We have more than 30 young kids in our organization. So we continue to grow in a lot of ways, not just numbers. You know, all the kind of things we want to do, we're much more expansive with our charity programs. So we're very proud of the work that we're doing.
I think it's very important. Not only does the game of golf teach you a skill in terms of a game that will be with you for a lifetime, but I think some of the character building aspects of the game itself is very important as we're trying to nurture youth and as we're trying to help to build a healthy community, to be honest with you. I think integrity in terms of making sure you count numbers correctly as you're playing the game of golf. I think some of the relationships that you develop gives you an opportunity to be able to develop your communication skills as a young person. So I just think there's a variety of things that really bring about some healthy and some wellness to kids from the game of golf.
Their death experience often bothered me, so I took care of residents in homeless shelters or somebody who bounced from friend's couch to friend's couch. And one gentleman I took care of in a motel, and we found him several days after he passed away. So, you know, these folks declined and had nobody there to care for them, and hospice would come in and out, and you always wondered what happens to them when you're not there. Or for the one gentleman who passed away alone, it's just, you know, what was that like? Was he in pain? Was he scared? Was it quick? Did it last several days? So that was really when I kind of started looking at, isn't there more we should do as a society? We should do better. It is amazing. I've been waiting for this day for almost 8 years. It is just a blessing. You know, when we were starting Grace House, we really wanted it to be a gift to the community, and the community really has given us a gift. The support has been amazing. We're just so blessed and so grateful.
I'd now like to introduce Tammy Gersman, Ambassador of Golf Auction Chair, and Brooks Ames, I might add the best pickpocket I've ever known, our auctioneer for the evening, who will help us auction off 8 fantastic packages for you tonight. Welcome, Tammy and Brooks. The stage is yours.
Good evening, everybody. So we are ready to get this auction started, and I do want to let you know that we have a very special thank you to some young people from the Boys and Girls Club who will be here this evening, and they will be delivering the big card and special gift to our winning bidders tonight. So please welcome them when they come to you, when you have the honor of winning one of these fabulous items. So we are ready to get this started. And this year, first up is item 100. This is a new item this year. It is the sweetest table. I want you to get your bid paddles ready.
This one right here.
Yep. For this showdown for the sweetest table in the room. Firestone's Country Club chef will be your personal dessert chef. Yum, yum, yum. He's going to create this delectable baked Alaska for your whole table. And we also need to have something delicious to go with it. So, of course, we will have some champagne to accompany it. So, I want to know who is going to have the sweetest table in the room. Yeah, let's see, Brooks.
Absolutely. So what you do is get this card out, because we're about to have a little fun. So, and Brian, it's the first time I've been called a pickpocket. But the very first time, I'll tell you what, right back here, I think they're getting it ready, all prepared back here. So it's going to come right to your table right now. Baked Alaska and champagne. So get right in there. Huh? Get right in there. I could probably ask you $2,000. Give me a bid and go for your whole table. Give me $1,000. Let's get it underway. And the first item is a little slower, so get right in there. Give me $1,000 down here. Now $1,250. $1,000 bid at $1,250 for your whole table. The auction's underway. $1,000 bid at $1,250. And if you're bidding over there, just catch one of those folks right there. They'll give me your bid. I get $1,000 bid at $1,250. $1,250 to go. $1,250 to go. Alaskan and champagne. Give me $1,250 right. $1,000 bid at $1,250. Anybody else? $1,000's a bid. $1,250. Last call. Don't let that $1,000 scare you, but it might. $1,000's bid. $1,250. Anybody else? Sold right down here. Should we put it on his card? We'll put it right down here on 241, maybe 247, but 241.
Congratulations.
Hey, Tammy, tell us about item number 2. Now we're going to have some fun.
Well, our next item, many people will know and look forward to. This is the Sunridge Canyon Golf Club that is donated by Don and Cindy Mischief. It is your opportunity to gather a foursome and head to Scottsdale, Arizona for a stay and play experience at the award-winning Sunridge Canyon Golf Club. You will also have a chance to play the Keith Foster design course, which is unlike any other in the desert. And it includes 2 days of golf for 4 people, 2-night accommodations at the Adero Scottsdale, and a flight voucher. So this is the perfect package. Let's see who's going to have the lucky bid number.
Generous all the time, right down here. Thank you so much, the Miss. That's right there to go. I'll tell you what, Scottsdale's 2 days, 4 people, $1,000 voucher. You can't go wrong. Go down there and play golf. Hey, get right in there. I could probably ask you, I don't know, 10, 15,000. Give me a bid. It's that kind of package. Give me 10,000 to kick her off. What do you say? Get them big cards up. Give me 5,000. Let's go. I got 5,000 where? 5,000 for Arizona. 5,000 right. The auction's on. Give me 5,000. What do you say? 5,000 to go on auction item number 2, Arizona. Give me 5,000 right. Give me 2,500. I got 2,500 down here, and now 3,000. 3,000 back here, 4,000. 4,000 to go, and now 5,000. 5,000 over here, now 6,000. Now we're going, and now 7,000. 7,000 right. 7,000. 7,000. He's not taking you. You better bid. 7,000. 6,000's a bid. 7,000 down here. I got 6,000 down here. 7,000. 7,000 to go. 6,000's a bid. 7,000 will let you in. 7,000. 7,000. What do you? I got 6,000 right here. 7,000 and now 8,000. 8,000 down here. 8,000 to go. 8,000. He's giving you the glare now, huh? 8,000. 8,000. He's out. You're in. 8,000. 7,000's a bid. 8,000. 8,000 to go. I got 7,000 a bid at 8,000. Anybody else? 7,000's a bid. 8,000 to let you back in. 8,000. Anybody else? Last call at $8,000. Would you like back in?
Sure.
Sold right there for $7,000. Thank you very much. What was your bidder number? Bidder number 113. 113.
Ah, wonderful.
Hey, moving right along, auction item number 3.
Well,
this
we
one's a
have
big
to
one.
just take a little break because the baked Alaska has to make its way through to our table. So just one moment while we see this wonderful dessert. I think. Are they ready? Okay,
Here it comes.
it's coming. Oh my goodness. Oh, wow.
All right, Tammy, let's keep moving along.
We're going to move along. This looks amazing. And this lucky table is having some bubbly, but you could have your own instant wine cellar. So, you have to just look at this outstanding item. Be the highest bidder to win 100 bottles of wine. And each is valued at a minimum of $100. You cannot go wrong. There are so many of the notable vintners. You will just love this. Raise a glass, raise your paddle, and take home this unique collection, which has been donated by many friends of Northern Ohio Golf Charities.
100 bottles of wine and $100+ for each bottle. Now, I was talking to somebody earlier, and they donated almost $175. So the minimum is a $100 bottle. So get right in here. I don't know. I could probably ask you 15, 16, 20,000. Let's go. Get the auction underway. 100 bottles, $100. Give me 10,000. Let's kick it off. And that's a steal right there. Give me 10,000 to kick her off. What do you say? 100 bottles, 10,000 to go. 10,000, stock that cellar right now. I got 10,000 where? Give me a bid and let's kick her off. Give me 7,500. Little stealing going on. Give me 7,500. What do you say? 7,500 down here. And now 8,000. 8,000 to go. We're still way under the money. 8,000 right. I get 7,500, but at 8,000. 8,000 right. 8,000. If you're a calculation or a mathematician, that's a winning value right there. And that type of wine's only going to go up. 75's the bid. I'm asking for 8,000. 8,000 to go. I get 75,000, but at 8,000. 8,000 to go. 7,500, but at 8,000. 8,000 right. 7,500's a bid. 8,000 will let you in. 8,000 to go. 8,000 right. 7,500, but at 8,000. Anybody else? When you're done, I have to be. 7,500's a bid. 8,000 to let you in. 8,000. 8,000, 8,000. Anybody else at $8,000? 8,000 down here. I knew you guys were sandbagging me. 9,000. I got 8,000, but at 9,000. 9,000, and now 10,000. 10,000. We're a break-even point. 10,000. Take a sip of wine and give me 10,000. Come on. You're working me too hard. Give me 10,000 to go. I got 9,000, but at 10,000, 10,000. 10,000 to go. They'll come over and help you drink it. 10,000. I got 9,000, but at 10,000. Anybody else? 95. You must have been to an auction before, haven't you? 9,500. Now 10,000. Good money. 10,000. 10,000 right. Cost you more now. 11. 11,000. 10,000, but at 11,000. 11,000. 11,000. Are you sure? I get 10,000, but at 11,000. Anybody else?
It's a bargain.
We just hit that mark. 10,000 to bid, 11,000 to let you in. 11,000 to go. I get 10,000 bid at 11,000. Last call. Would you like back in? Sold right there for $10,000. Thank you very, very much. Bidder number 233. 233. Hey, moving right along.
Oh, my
Auction
goodness.
item number 4.
All right, number 4, Firestone Stay and Play the Ryder Cup way. You can have 8 people stay for the weekend and have the whole experience of the Ryder Cup here, thanks to Jay Walkinshaw, Firestone Country Club General Manager, and his team. You'll have catered meals. You will stay in one of our villas, and you will have the full experience of playing the many courses, including the South Course.
8 people, Firestone, dinner, 36 holes the first day, dinner in your villa, dinner the next night, and you have the final round on a Ryder Cup style right here at Firestone. Get right in there.
It's going to be amazing.
Kind of a cool package right there to go. If you love golf, get right in here. Ryder Cup at Firestone. Give me 10,000 to kick her off. I got 10,000 where? Give me 10,000 to kick her off. What do you say? Give me 10,000 to go. Give me $5,000. Let's get under the way. That's a steal. I got 5,000 down here. Now 6,000. 6,000 to go. 6,000 right for 8 people. Basically 6,000 and now 7,000. 8,000, 8,000 back here, 8,000 to go, 8,000, what do you say? It's a deal, 8,000 to go. I got 7,000 down here, 8,000 to let you in, 8,000 right, going for a good cause, 8,000. 8,000, we're out, 8,000, now 9,000, 9,000 to go, and now 10,000, 10,000, 10,000 to go, 10,000 new fire, now 11,000, now 12,000, 12,000 right, 12,000 to go, 12,000. 12,000, is that a yes? 12,000. I got 11,000 down front, 12,000 to let you in. 11,000's a bid, 12,000. Anybody else? 11,000 bid at 12,000 one more time. 11,000, 12,000, now 13. 13 bid at 14. 14,000, 14,000, 14,000. The value's there. You need to, well, I don't know if I can do that. We have 13 down here. We can see if there's 2, but I don't think there is. Danielle? There's not 2 of these, is there? I got 13 down here, now 14. 14,000. 13,000. I'll tell you what.
Jay?
Is that a good? We good with that?
Oh, thank you, Jay.
I'll tell you what. I got it sold right here to this gentleman right here for 13,000. Bidder number 193. Thank you very much. And bidder right down here, bidder number 248. So thank you very much. Thank you very much to Firestone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay.
That was kind of one of those spur-of-the-moment things you just throw in there.
Was.
Thank you very much. We just doubled that money. Thank you.
Woo, that's going to be quite an experience.
Hey, tell us about auction item number 5. Now we're having some fun.
This one, imagine being in the room where it happens. Meet the cast of the award-winning musical Hamilton. So you won't just go to New York and see it. You're going to chat with 2 of the cast members over a wonderful lunch. You will watch the play, and afterwards, you'll enjoy a private in-theater meet and greet with the rest of the cast members. From our founding fathers to the fantastically talented actors, prepare yourself for this unique and revolutionary experience. This is your shot. Let's go for
Absolutely.
it.
3 days, 2 nights, breakfast, meet and greet with the cast with a brunch. Then you meet and greet after the show.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, get right in here. If you like Hamilton, if you've not seen Hamilton, let's do it in New York right now to go.
Yes.
Hey, I don't know. I could probably ask you 10, 15,000. It's that kind. Give me a bid. Let's kick her off. What do you say? Give me 10,000 to go. 10,000 to kick her off. Let's get a bid and go. Give me 7,500. I get 7,500 where? Give me 7,500. Let's go. I get 7,500 on the Hamilton
Hotel,
meet and greet.
meals,
Hotel,
meeting
meals,
the cast.
everything you got. I get 7,500 where? Give me 7,500. Give me 6,000. Let's kick her off. Give me 6,000. I got 6,000 over here, now 7,000. I get 6,000, but it's 7,000. 7,000 to go. 6,000's a bid, 7,000 for the Hamilton package. What do you say? 7,000. 6,000's a bid, 7,000 will let you in. 7,000. 7,000. I'll tell you what, it's about double that in the book. 6,000's a bid. I'm asking for 7,000. 7,000 to go. 6,000's a bid, 7,000 will let you in. 7,000. Anybody else? 6,000's a bid, 7,000 last call at $7,000.
You do want to see Thomas Jefferson and all our founding fathers who we heard about so much from Condoleezza Rice. So let's keep
What do
that
you
in
say?
mind.
I got 6,000 on the left, 7,000 to let you in. 7,000 to go. 6,000's a bid, 7,000. Anybody else? Last call at $7,000. Sold right there for $6,000. Thank you very, very much. Let's give him a nice round of applause. Bidder number 153. Hey, moving right along, auction item number 6.
All right, number 6, the Owners Club of Puerto Vallarta, donated by Invited. A special thanks to Invited CEO David Pillsbury for joining us this evening. This is an opportunity for timeless beauty, temperate weather, and some of the most remarkable golf. This incredible package from Invited is a 4-night stay in an exclusive villa and 12 total rounds of golf at one of the 3 championship golf courses.
You can't go wrong. Get right in there. The Owners Club in Puerto Vallarta. 12 total rounds of golf, Jack Nicklaus signature courses. Get right in there. I could probably ask you 10,000 on this one. Give me a bid and go. Let's kick her off. Give me 10,000 to kick her off. What do you say? Give me 10,000 to go. 10,000, give me a bid and kick her off. Give me 7,500. 7,500 right. I got 7,500 right. Give me a bid and go. Give me 5,000. 5,000 right. 5,000 Puerto Vallarta. $5,000. 12 round. 5,000 down here. Thank you. And now 6,000. I got 5,000, but it is 6,000 to go. 6,000 right. I got 5,000's a bid. 6,000 to let you in. 6,000 right. 6,000 to go. 6,000 to go. Am I missing something? 6,000. Mexico, Puerto Vallarta. 12 total rounds of golf. $6,000. 5,000's a bid. 6,000 to let you in. 6,000 to go. I got 5,000, but it is 6,000. Anybody else? 6,000's a bid. I got 5,000, but it's 6,000. Last call. 6,000 to go. I got 5,000, but it's 6,000. Anybody else? Last call at $6,000. Sold right down here for $5,000.
Oh my
Bidder number
goodness.
241. 241.
Congratulations.
Hey, moving right along.
All right.
If you like horses, get on this one.
Yes, the greatest 2 minutes in sports at the exclusive Kentucky Derby. So this is 4 days, 3 nights, and you actually have first floor grandstand tickets for the race itself. So.
Hey, get right in there. The Kentucky Derby package. I'll tell you what, there's a lot in this one. 4 days, 3 nights. You get to basically tour with the stables. You get to go down to the first floor observatory, or not observatory, but the grandstands of the first floor. Get right in there. Right there to go, Kentucky Derby package. Hey, I could probably ask it 8, 10,000. Give me a bid. Give me 8,000 to kick her off. 8,000 to go on the Kentucky Derby package. And if you've not been there, here's your chance. Give me 8,000 to go. Give me 7,500. What do you say? 7,500 to kick her off. I get 7,500 right. Give me 7,500 to go. Give me $7,000. I get 7,000 where? Give me 7,000 right. I get 7,000 to go. 7,000 to go. Give me 6,000. I get 6,000 and now 65. 6,500. 65 and now 7,000. 7,000. 7,000 to go. 7,000 now 7,500. 7,500. I got 7,000 bid at 7,500. 7,500 to go. I got 7,000 bid at 7,500. Anybody else? 7,500. 2 minutes goes quick. You got to bid again to win. 7,500. I get 7,000 bid at 7,500. Anybody else? 7,500. I get 7,000 bid 7,500. Last call at $7,500. What do you say? Sold right there for $7,000. Thank you very much. What was your bidder number, ma'am? Bidder number 236. Bidder number 236. Hey, we're rounding third or coming home or maybe in the fourth quarter with the Cavs, huh?
All right, here is your opportunity to see our very exciting Cleveland Cavaliers in a suite donated by Ernst & Young. Thank you, Monte Rapaski, for your generous support of the Ambassador of Golf. You will have an opportunity to be in a suite with 12 tickets and 3 parking passes for a mutually agreed upon game. This is quite an opportunity.
Absolutely, and we just re-signed
Yep.
a couple key players.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about parking.
Biggest contract.
Absolutely, and it was well worth it.
Yep.
12 people, parking passes, our Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's get it on. Right there to go. I don't know. I could probably ask you $5,000, $6,000. Give me a bid, and that might not be enough. I think we're going to do it next year. We're going to be that close. If we didn't have a couple injuries, we would have been there this year. Give me 5,000 to kick her off. 5,000 to go for 12 people. Give me 5,000 to go. 5,000 right. Give me 2,500. Let's get it underway. 2,500 to go. I got 2,500. What do you say? 2,500. 1,000. Oh my. And now 1,500. Now 2,000. 2,000 to go. I got 2,000 where? 1,500 to bid 2,000. 2,000 for 12 people in the suite. Parking, 2,000, 2,500, now 3,000, 3,000, 3,500, 3,500 to go. I got 3,000, but at a 35, 3,500, 3,500. A lot of Golden States fans, huh? 35, we got a bid there? 35, 35, 35, and now 4,000, 4,000, now 4,500, 4,500, we're out back here. 4,500, what do you say? Is that Steve Wilt? Tell him to bid. 4,500, 4,500 to go. I got 4,000, but at a 45. Come on, Steve. 45, and now 5,000. 5,000 to go. I got 4,500, but at a 5,000. 5,000 to go. I got 4,500, but at a 5,000. Anybody else? Would you like back in, ma'am? Are you sure? It's a Cleveland. I'm telling you, you're going to be regretting it because they're going to be good. Yes. 4,500 to bid 5,000. Anybody else? 4,500 bid at 5,000. Last call at $5,000. Sold in that other room, and I think it might be Steve Wilt, right? Maybe. Maybe not. What was that number? Bidder number 271. 271. Hey, Tammy, back up to you, and I think we got to talk about maybe a raffle.
Yeah,
huh?
we sure do. We've had a terrific evening, but it is not over yet because we need to pull the winning ticket for the Mission Hills trip. For all of you who have your blue bands here, Brooks, you get to do the honors. It's coming up. See who the lucky winners are who are going to Mission Hills.
I'll tell you what. I'll pull the number, and Tammy.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wait, you got a number, so you got all right, well.
It could be rigged.
I'll tell you what. You're going to read it. You want to read it?
Yeah, you better read it.
You better read it, because you know what?
Yeah, I might cheat.
I don't know if we can get a drum roll or not. All right, and the winning number is
37.
37.
37.
Who's going to Mission Hills?
Congratulations. Now we do have another one.
We sure do. We actually have a trip that's 3 days to Cancun and a 3-night stay at Aloft. So let's see who the lucky winner is
Hold
for
your
that.
bingo cards. Sayer,
You
you going to
still
read it
have a
again for me?
chance.
All right, here we go. Sayer is going to help me out again. Number,
16.
16.
your number is 16. Do they have to be in the room?
Number 16 in the room.
Number 16 over there. Number 16. Oh, I don't know how that works. They have to be here?
We'll find out. We'll find out. They might not be here.
If
Some
they're not
people
here-
purchased separately.
Okay. Well, hey, everybody, thank you very much for having me again. Enjoy the week. Enjoy the golf. Tammy, thank you. Sayer, thank you, buddy.
Thank you, Brooks. Thank you, everybody, for attending our event, and we do appreciate your support of the Northern Ohio Golf Charities Foundation and its mission. Now we will be able to exit the building out the front door. If you purchased a live auction item or would like to make a donation, remember there's that code on the back of your program. You can just stop by the front desk also. A volunteer is there to take your payment. Everyone else, we will have wonderful desserts out on the patio and more music from Kofi. We look forward to seeing you all next year. Thank you.